Hello and welcome to the first episode of my RS Turbo series. In this episode I will be retrofitting the OEM spotlight projectors and I will be upgrading the headlight bulb connectors to the ceramic versions. A little bit about the car first. I've purchased this beauty 2 years ago from Hungary for roughly 3000 euros and it was a real frog. As you can see in the pictures, it was quite heavily modified. The rear end had a 90 spec raw black spoiler fitted and also the bumper was trimmed to accommodate the license plate. The side of the vehicle was made to look like the XR3i version, that is, it had the black areas around the quarter windows and the front windows and also the red side strips fitted. It had aftermarket wheels fitted and they were painted in satin black. The front of the vehicle was heavily lowered, making the ride very rough and the car almost impossible to drive. All the front indicator lenses were clear, which I don't like. The front of the car was again heavily modified. The bonnet had a bad boy look installed and the front bumper was customized with some aftermarket vents and a spoiler. In the last 2 years, I've managed to source out the original parts, have them painted and refitted. Although it's quite hard to believe, this is the same vehicle as the one in the picture. Although it looks almost complete, there's still a lot of work to do on the car, and I will document everything in the next episodes. So, this is today's arsenal. I bought the 90 spec spotlight brackets from eBay for roughly £50. They are the correct version for the 90 spec bumper, of course. When I got them, they had some slight surface rust, so I just had them sandblasted and powder coated in satin black. Just to make everything clean and tidy, I've also sourced out some stainless steel fittings for them, which will make everything look perfect and keep them rust-free for years to come, hopefully. Moving on, these are the new connectors for the headlights. They are the ceramic type. I know that they're not original, so some of you guys might disagree with this, but at least they have a ceramic core, which in theory should prevent overheating and aging. They look much better than what I have on the car right now. Their quality seems to be okay, and they come from Poland or they are made in Poland. And last on the list, the mighty Ford Carello projectors in a pitiful state. To be honest, I got this really cheap from eBay and basically I got what I've paid for. They are heavily corroded and almost rusted through, but I bought them because I was very curious to see how they look on the vehicle and because they are complete with all the fixings, wirings and connectors. I don't plan on keeping these for too long on the car and I will most probably be swapping them with some decent ones in the near future. And now let's start the installation. Being original items, they are very easy to install. All you have to do is just identify the correct mounting points in the front crossmember and install them while sandwiching the crossmember in between the two plates. Do this for both sides and it shouldn't take more than 5 minutes for each side. Be careful not to scratch the bumper. And voila, the final result. If you did everything according to the instructions, this is what you will end up with. Two lovely brackets mounted on the cross member with shiny stainless steel fittings. To install the projector, just place them in the brackets and use their supplied nuts and bolts. The bolts have small lugs which lock in the brackets. Be careful when tightening not to break the plastic casing of the projectors. When fitting the connectors, I always use and highly recommend this type of silicone-based grease. It does not conduct electricity and it's especially helpful on this type of old connections, because it provides a dust-proof and waterproof seal and it also makes plugging and unplugging much easier. And now it's time for the ceramic headlight connectors. I've prepared good quality flux, solder wire and a wire stripper. Also, I've bought some adhesive lined heat shrink tubing. I highly recommend this type of heat shrink tubing because it's slightly thicker and provides a waterproof seal around the connection. In preparation for the installation, I've cut 6 pieces of 1-inch length heat shrink tubes and placed them over the wires of the ceramic connectors. Notice my lovely engine bay. Now, let's take a look at the old connectors and see just how old and crumbly they are. The right hand side one is very easily accessible. In order to access the left one, you need to remove the air filter cover. Just unplug them and cut around 5 cm of wire. New versus old or old versus new. Just look how degraded and crumbly they are. They definitely need a change. To be honest, I'm quite surprised that the headlights were still working on the car. I use this industrial flux on the stripped ends of the vehicle wires because they show signs of oxidation. Oxidation will prevent solder from properly sticking to the wires and will make the soldering process really difficult. Finally, I cover the stripped wire ends with solder. I have applied the same process for the wires of the bulb connectors. First I use flux and then I cover them with solder wire. Then, finally, I can do the actual soldering. You may notice that after soldering I'm using a pair of pliers. You may wonder why. I'm gently squeezing the new soldered connections in order to eliminate possible loose wires which might puncture the heat shrink and might cause a short circuit. A final visual inspection. Now I can feed the heat shrink tubing over the new soldered connections and shrink them. You may notice that I'm using a lighter for this, which is not indicated. I will try to get a proper tool for the next episodes. Now I just wrap everything up in good quality electrical tape. And add, of course, silicone grease to the connectors. I will leave a link to this product in the description of the video. With everything installed, let's do the final test and see how they look like. Everything seems to be working perfectly. The projectors turn on when the high beam is activated. This concludes today's episode. As I said in the beginning, there's still a lot of work to do on the car. I've put together a to-do list and I will try to cover all of these steps in the next episodes. I need to install new door, boot and rear right seals. I need new front suspension arms, bushes and radiator. I have to change the timing belt and the coolant pump. I need to change the front brakes because the pedal is vibrating during hard braking and also the steering is a little vague, so all the linkages will be changed. I need to polish and install my newly acquisition stainless steel Scorpion exhaust and also to install a newly powder coated oil sump because the one on the car is heavily rusted. And finally, I need to soundproof the interior, change the spare wheel with a newer one because the one on the car is very old, and also fix the sunroof. Thank you for watching this episode and please don't forget to like, share and subscribe to my channel to help it grow. See you next time.